Hey, everybody. Just hold on. We're going to give everybody an opportunity to come on in while we're working on some things on this end. Just bear with us. We'll be with you in just a moment. It's Relationship Talk. Hey, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's doing well. This is Relationship Talk. Relationship Talk. You know the topic. You've seen it on the flyer. The love we had. Let's get it. All right. Hope your week has been blessed and highly favored. Gonna give everybody an opportunity to come on in. Let's have this conversation tonight. The love we had. Come on in, Lady Sam. She's knocking on the door. You come on in. Should be in soon. Should be on your messenger. All right. Be right with you, my people. I'm back. Praise God. Hey, I hope everybody's doing well. Taking care of some minor technical difficulties here. Minor technical difficulties. All right. It's been a while. It seems as if it's a new bike we're riding all over again. Are you in? Sometimes you can't complain. Sometimes that's how it goes. All right, the love we had. All right, Lady Sam is having a little difficult time getting in. Hey, everyone. Let's see who we got here. All right. All my people, talk to me this evening. If you're on, if you're live and direct, let me hear from you. Like to hear from you today. Greetings, Rick. Thank you for being on. Thank you for being on. Thank you for being on. Who else we got here? Let's see. Blessings, Marcia. Thank you for being on this evening. Blessings to you guys. Listen, we want to talk about those relationships. We want to talk about maintaining the relationship. As we all know, this is a conversation. It's just us. Just us. Now, I know you guys don't see Lady Sam. She's sitting right across from me as we are trying to get her in. She's having some issues, but I'm sure we'll be able to resolve them. Trying to get her in. So, all right. Go. Let's try it again. All right, there we go. Lady Sam, you in here? Oh, hey, well, praise the Lord. All right, she made it into the room. I can see you fine. All right. Praise God. Relationship talk, the love we had. Go ahead and greet the people, Lady Sam. All right. Where you going? I can't see what it is. You're talking where you're right across from me. We can't prolong. So just go ahead. Go ahead. I want to go get something else myself. All right, people. Relationship talk. Listen, so the question is this. Hey, man, we got a plethora of issues going on here. But when it comes to relationships, we all know that they all go through their bumps and bruises and ups and downs and this and that. But the question is, how do we get the relationship to a point where it can be self-sustaining and no longer in a place where no longer in a place where it's going through the turmoil and turbulence. So in order to do that, one of the things that, I was thinking about in my relationship, how did I get it to the place where it's able to navigate with not much turbulence? I think in order to do that at the onset, one of the most consequential things is before you even get into that marriage, before you even get into that relationship. I think sometimes we get into certain relationships and we don't really think about what we're getting into. We don't really think about what we get into. We get into it, but we don't lay everything out on the table and ask ourselves, all right, am I going to be able to deal with this? Am I going to be able to deal with that? I think when it comes to a relationship, I want to hear from y'all. When it comes to a relationship, that you have to look at all those things. Let's pull up the people this evening. Let's hear what the people are saying. How do you think you could navigate through the relationship, even though we know turbulence is possible? But how can you navigate through the relationship? What are some of the things that you can do at the onset to make it flourish? Bless you, Sister Wanda. Thank you for being on. Elder Carla, Sister Tanaka, blessings to you all. What's your blessings to you all? What's your take on it, Lady Sam? Yeah. So my question was, in a relationship, relationships are going to have a lot of turbulence. So my question was, and even though we know that it's going to have a lot of turbulence, what are some of the things that we could do at the onset that can help give that relationship a smooth, and it increases the possibility of that relationship lasting long term?
Well, for me, what I would say is in the onset of the relationship, that there are some things that you can bring to the table, and be, honest about, some things about yourself, but you can't bring everything all at one time. So I feel like you have to, in the beginning, there has to be an understanding of what it is that you want out of the relationship and what it is that the other individual wants out of the relationship. And I think you have to be really honest in your expectations and what it is that you're looking for.
I agree. There has to be that honesty that is laid out at the onset. I think, when we look at relationships, one of the things that, I was thinking about, and I want to hear from you guys, when you're looking at relationships, just like when you get ready to go buy a car or a house, and you look at it and you weigh it out and you say to yourself, well, you know what, before I buy this car, can my family fit in it? But before I buy this car, does it burn a lot of gas? And I think sometimes when we're looking at the relationship, those are some of the things that's going to be consequential. This person that I'm getting ready to get into a relationship with or tie the knot with, can that person manage? How do they do when it comes to managing things? How does it work when it comes to them taking on having to deal with burden or pressure or things of that nature? I think a lot of times we get into relationships and we really don't think it all the way through. And then we find out later on that there's turbulence in the relationship. There's some issues going on in the relationship. And sometimes those issues are things that we never questioned, we never looked at, we never pondered. And now these things start to come to the surface. I want to hear from you guys. What are some of the things that you did when you started seeing some of those things coming to the surface? You know, things that challenge, you know, the title, if we look at the flyer, the title says the love that we had. You know, sometimes the turbulence starts to come up and it starts to change the way that you view the person. You know, you start to look at the person that you were in love with. You start to look at the person you're in a relationship. You start to look at them differently, you know, because of now some of those things coming to service. I want to hear from you guys. What did you do to help navigate through those turbulent times? All right, my people. So, Lady Sam, what was your take on that?
Okay, so the last thing that you went over, can you repeat that for me?
So what I said was, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to that relationship, what are some of the things that you do when the person that you're in a relationship with, you start to see things that stand out to you that causes you to have a different view or outlook on that person, you know, and it slowly causes a waning away of your relationship. It wears away the relationship. When it comes to those things, what do you think are some of the things that a person can do to help in that situation?
Well, I mean, it really depends on the individual. Because for me, I would say, when you see it coming on the onset, that's when you would address it. But it really depends on how the individual is going to receive it.
Mhm.
And so I think that talking about it, and letting the person know what it is that's bothering you, because they may not know, and so I think the most important thing would be to communicate with that person and let the person know exactly what it is that's irritating you or what it is that's going on, so that you guys can work on it to fix it, to come to a resolution.
Hmm. Right. So you're saying that the discussion has to be made, that dialogue has to happen in order for in order for a resolution to be made. Sister Marcia says, I just had to pray about it. You know, she says, I just had to pray about that thing and just, you know, when that thing presented itself, that's the only thing that she could do, you know. But Sister Arlene says this: I would often walk away hoping rather the distance would give us both time to think, reflect, and then speak rationally. You know, speak rationally, and that's true. You know, Sister Arlene hit it right on a point. Sometimes you just got to step away. Sometimes you got to give that distance, and distance is sometimes good. You know, and distance doesn't mean that we got to leave the house. Distance doesn't mean that we got to get divorced or separated. But distance speaks to the magnitude of, all right, if we engage right now, it's not going to turn out right. You know, so maybe we need to, you know, give us some time. You know, that in itself will help So distance is definitely key, and the thing about it is this. She says you got to think and reflect and speak rationally. And I think that's one of the things when we start having turbulence or we start having issues in our relationship, for some of us, the first thing that we know how to do is to go off. I'm going to go off. I'm going to give you a piece of my mind. And guess what? Let the chips fall where they may, but I think we have to reflect, meaning that you have to take a pause moment. You have to take some time out to really ask yourself, all right, how am I going to approach this situation where it doesn't cause additional conflict? How many of us have ever been in relationships that you don't got mad and you said something crazy? And after you said something crazy, you say to yourself, oh my God, I shouldn't have said that. Now you got to figure out how you're going to retract or turn that thing around, And so reflection is definitely the key. When it comes to relationship, I think, okay, Sister Arlene, you said you can't hear me. I hope you can hear me now. Okay. You guys can hear me. I hope you guys can hear me. I think when it comes to a relationship, one of the key things is, what part do you play in it? I'm getting ready to go somewhere that's going to be quite controversial. I'm going to go somewhere that's going to be kind of controversial. But before we go there, what part did you play in it? What part did you play? What hand did you play in it? Were you a serial contributor? Come on. Were you a person that was part of the situation? Hold on. You know what? I think sometimes when we look at relationships, and we're going to get over to Lady Sam in a second. I want to hear her piece on this. Sometimes, it's just like children. If you don't tell your kids to clean up the room, eventually, you're sowing a seed, and eventually that thing is going to flourish. And then when you want them to clean up the room, they're not going to want to clean up the room because you've never been doing that at the onset. And that's why sometimes relationships, hey, bless you, angel in training. Look, I think that's the thing. Sometimes when it comes to relationships, we allow certain things to go on for such a long period of time that when we want to clean it up, we can't clean it up because we've been allowing it from the giddy up. I want to hear from y'all. I think that's the key when it comes to relationships. Sometimes you got to know what you want. You got to know what you want. Lady Sam, what say ye?
I agree with you. I agree with you when you say, you have to know what you want. But I mean, also, when you use the analogy of a child, if you don't tell the child to clean their room, and then when it's time for them to clean their room, then they don't want to clean their room because they was never told to do it in the first place, right? So what happens when you have a situation that's going on, and you tell the person, right? And you tell the person over and over again, but the person they don't look like they don't make that change. You know what I mean? Or they don't make the change to come to be able to fix that issue. And so what do you do, when you're in that type of situation and you tell the person, but then when, okay, you get tired of telling the person the same thing over and over, right? And then what do you do when you go off, and then that's when the person reacts? So you had mentioned earlier about somebody in a relationship. It's if the person goes off or whatever, how do you handle that? But how do you handle it when you're the one that's going to the person time and time again, and you're telling them, what it is, but they still don't do it?
Right. I understood And that's the reason why I said, from the beginning that when it comes to relationships or first as a relationship before marriage, that we don't look at everything and we just move on love. We move on the feeling. We move on, oh, he makes me feel so good, that kind of stuff, or whatever it is. You know how it is. Sometimes we move on that. Ain't that right, Marcia? Ashley, look, sometimes we move on how he makes me feel or how she makes me feel, right? But at the same time, you knew that joker was irresponsible. He made me feel good, but he was irresponsible also, and sometimes we overlook the irresponsibility because of the feeling, and then what happens is at the end of the day, we end up having to deal with some of the stuff that we pushed under the rug. You knew the joker wasn't good at paying bills. He spent all his money and your money. Come on. He spent his check and your check. And now you got a problem because you trying to get that under control. But when you were booed up, come on here, when you were doing whatever you were doing, that didn't matter. Now these things are starting to come to the surface. And so I think when it comes to a relationship, these are some of the key things that we need to look at, especially as you start to get older. When you start to get to a certain age, there are certain things that you really start to scrutinize and you really start to look at and say, you know what? Is this something that can be fixed, or is this something that's going to be long term? Because a person's long-term issue can damage you in the long term. What say you? I want to hear from you guys. Do you believe that a relationship, a person's craziness, I'm gonna use that, a person's craziness, can that hurt you in the long term? I want to hear from you people right now. Come on and chime in.
While we're waiting for the comments, I'm gonna chime in on that. I think so, yes. And the reason why I say that is because sometime in that situation, you're so focused on that person's craziness and trying to deal with that and trying to deal with this or whatever, that you can lose yourself in the process, and so I think yes, that can happen.
That's right. Marcia says, yeah, we could overlook those red flags, hoping that we can change them, and that's true. Sometimes we overlook those things and say, you know what, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. But Arlene says it like this: it most definitely is going to hurt the spouse. Most definitely is going to hurt that other person long term, because it is just like something that is constant and consistent over years of time. It starts to wear on you. It breaks you down. And that in itself can be problem. It could be a problem. But Lady Sam, you had any questions you want to throw out there to the people this evening before I get into my controversial part?
No, go ahead. Get into the controversial part. I'm ready.
So I wanted to put this out there. I was watching a video by a man named Kevin Samuels. Now, Kevin Samuels, I don't know. Does anybody, let me hear from you people down on the line. Anybody familiar with Kevin Samuels and his discussions in his relationship talk issues? Anybody familiar with that? I need to hear before I get myself into deep trouble. Kevin Samuels. So while I'm waiting for someone to comment down below. I was watching one of his videos. Somebody sent me one of his videos, and I was watching it, and he made some statements that really ruffled my feathers. And let me give you the backdrop to the story. The backdrop to the story is this person has a call-in type of show, and he deals with relationships and so on and so forth. He deals with a lot of different aspects, but he kind of gives people advice. This young lady calls in to his show, and the young lady calls in. She calls in during the show. It's a show that has nothing to do with relationships. This segment has to do with another topic, but the lady decides to call in anyway to ask this gentleman about her relationship. And her question goes as follows. Her question is, I'm trying to meet a man who is not a scrub. And I'm trying to meet a man who is in my tax bracket, who makes the money that I make. And he asked her, well, how much money do you make? She says, well, she makes over 6 figures. And if I'm correct, she said something like she's close to making like $1 million a year or whatever, or what have you. And which kind of brings me to the point where he says to her, listen, well, one of the problems is the reason why you can't find a man, the reason why you can't get a man is because you're trying to get something that's out of your league. So we're going to pin that right there. I want to hear from you people. Do you think that sometimes the reason why we can't find, or a person cannot find the right relationship or the right person, is because they're fishing in the wrong pond? Do you think that that's a possibility, that you could be fishing in the wrong pond, and as a result, you can't find the person that you're looking for? I want to hear from you. Ashley, you say yes. I want to hear you. Give me something. I want to hear you. Yeah. Yes. Sister Tanaka says, Rick, Kevin Samuels is #1 fan. I know he is. I know he is. But do you think that it's possible that a person who is looking for a relationship sometimes can be seeking that relationship in the wrong place? I want to hear from you. Lady Sam, you're muted. I want to hear from you. Come on.
Yeah, I think that sometimes you can be looking in the wrong place. I won't say it depends on the individual standards and what it is that they're looking for. I don't feel that, if you know who you are, that you need to lower your standards for anyone. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. But I do agree, like looking at what areas, what places, what ponds you're looking in, or you're frequenting yourself with, or going to, or where you're going to look for a person. Yeah, I think that absolutely that can be a case, but I still don't think you should lower your standards for anybody.
All right. Yeah, you shouldn't lower your standards. You shouldn't lower your standards. Rick chimed in. He says, absolutely, which meaning, I guess Rick is saying that sometimes you could be fishing in the wrong place. You should be. And I think what was happening here in this particular segment, you guys could go ahead and watch it. In this particular segment, she calls in. She figures that if I'm making $1 million, then the man that I'm looking for, the men that should be in my life should be $1 million makers also. And then he began to lay down some guidelines. And one of the things that he started to ask her is, well, you know, what's wrong with the men that you're meeting now? What's wrong with the men that you're meeting down? And she said that these men, some of them, they don't have any go get it attitude. They're not going to make things happen for them, and he asked her, well, uh, well, what have you done? And she said that, she's always been the one to really pour money and effort into these relationships in order to guide some of these men into doing something better. Right. And so let's put a pin right there. Do you think that it's okay for a man or woman to pour money and or resources into a relationship, not a marriage, just a relationship, in order to get that man or that woman to level up? Do you think that you have a responsibility to play in having that person level up? I want to hear from you. What do you guys think? Ashley, if you still on this evening, I want to find out from you. Do you think that you might have to do some things to get that man to level up to your level? Lady Sam?
Well, for me, I can only speak for me. Not if I'm just not if I'm just dating someone. No, but in a marriage, yes. I mean, sometimes you might have to pour just a little bit more in. Um, you know, and sometimes everybody's not on the same level. So sometimes you might have to put a little bit more in than the other person until that person come up, you know. And
Mhm.
if you push them and encourage them, then they'll come up, eventually, as long as they have the right mindset and you all are working towards the same goals. But if it's just a dating relationship, no, I don't think you should be the only one putting in, all your money, unless if you guys have some kind of, agreement. Everybody's relationship is different. But dating, I'm not gonna. I just don't feel that that's something that I would do. But in a marriage, yes, I can see that happening.
Okay. All right. Sister Arlene says like this. She says, if you cast a wide net, you'll catch all types of fish. I suppose the question to ask is she afraid of being used for her money? If she dates outside of her tax bracket, is she afraid of being used if she dates outside of her tax bracket? I'll date someone who is kind, responsible, and working and making an honest living. So, Sister Arlene, you're saying more or less that it's not about the tax bracket. It's not about how much you bring in. It's all about your personality, who you are, your heart, do you have motivation? You're a working person. Those are the things, your honesty, those are the things that you believe that a relationship is founded on. I'm there with you, Sister Arlene. I'm there with you. She also says, I don't have a responsibility, but I supported my ex-husband through school. So but you said something, and the key word was that he was your husband. And because of who he was, there's never a loss, in that relationship when you have to put in a little bit more. There's never a loss when you have to invest in the person that you love. You know, there's never a loss. And so that is good. Marcia says, not a relationship, but a marriage. Yes. She hasn't done a relationship, but a marriage. That's right. Sometimes you got to pour in more than the other person. Sometimes you may have to pull the weight. Sometimes that's what it is. But well, let me go a little bit further. So then Kevin, then as he continues on, he starts to break down some of the things that's going on in this woman's life. The fact that she feels that just because she's making a certain amount of money, that automatically puts her in a different status, right? She thinks that because, air quotes, she's making a certain amount of money, that automatically puts her in a different level. Now, what Kevin then starts to break down is the fact that your money has nothing to do, with where you are, right? Your money has nothing to do with it. And so he starts to go from this perspective. And I wish I had the video, but you guys can watch it at your own time. He starts to break down. He starts to break her down, and he starts to go a different route. And the route that he starts to go is this. He then starts to ask this young lady, so you think that the money that you have gives you carte blanche to people on another level? But then again, Kevin starts to lay out this thing. He starts to say that, well, the people in that other level are not looking for a woman like you. Now, I want to pin that right there. Do you think that is true? Do you think that a person with a lot of money, a person with wealth, are they necessarily looking for another person with wealth or money? Are those some of the characteristics? Are those some of those things that they're looking for? Or are they looking for what Arlene had put down? Honesty, kindness, a good heart, hardworking, but what Kevin was laying out was that she doesn't even fit the bill for what a wealthy person or a rich person would be looking for. I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear from you guys this evening. Hold on. Rick chimed in. Let's see what Rick says. Rick says, if you were to do so with finances and gifts, then the relationship is fugazi. So you're saying that in a relationship, if the relationship is built on giving, propping up, leveling up that other person, or making them, you know how that, we see it on TV all the time, then the relationship is fugazi. It's a fake relationship. It's not a relationship that is hinged on love. It's hinged on what I can get. I agree with that.
Well,
Lady Sam, I want to hear from
there.
you.
I got something to say there though. So why can't it be case in fact? It doesn't necessarily have to be that the relationship is built on something fake, or the relationship is built, because of the gifts and the finances. Why can't the other person just be a person that's a giver, that likes to give gifts, or that likes to show a person with gifts? Because people show love all different types of ways. So why can't it just be that person just like to give gifts and the other person like to receive gifts? Why can't it be just that? Why does the relationship have to be fake? So I don't necessarily think that is 100% correct. There is some truth in it if the other person is only using the person for the gifts. But if the person that has the finances and that is providing those gifts, this is just something that they want to do. Why can't that just be a thing?
All right. I want to ask you guys a question. I got a burning question. If you're a married person and a person of the opposite sex wants to is always giving you gifts, should you accept them? I'm gonna use myself as an example. Today, I'm gonna use myself as an example. What if a young lady, a person, is showering all of this with gifts, right? A young lady is showering all of this with gifts. Do you think that it should be okay to receive them? Because after all, there's nothing going on. It's innocent. I don't know why she's giving me gifts, but should I take them?
So you're saying someone that's outside of your marriage giving you
Yes,
gifts. Okay. No, no, no.
yes.
I don't think that that is no,
But
I
it's
don't
just
think
gifts. It's just gifts. It's nothing attached to it. It's just like, hey, I seen this nice tie and I brought it for you.
right, but no, I don't agree with that. I mean, because your wife could go buy you a nice tie, so she don't need to buy you. No, there shouldn't be no gifts coming from nowhere else. So no, I don't agree with that because it's the person's motive. You might say the person don't have any motives behind it, but there can be motives behind it, and
Mm.
sometimes, the person is so crazy that they try to make themselves believe that there's no motives behind it. I just like buying. Why do you just like buying this particular individual, a married man, gifts? So yeah, there's something wrong with that.
But let me ask you this. I mean, I just want to press the issue a little bit. I just want to
Go
press the
ahead,
issue a
press
little
the
bit.
issue, Jackson.
You know, what if this woman buys me a BMW cash paid for, and she says, "Listen, I just think that you deserve this, and and that's it. But this is for you. Do you think I should say no, no, no? I'm not going to take it. No, 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 no. Or should I walk away? Does it matter the size of the gift? Does it matter if the gift is solely for him or it's a gift that can be used for the two?
Well, that wasn't the point. The point was the gift wasn't for the two. The wife was never mentioned. She brought the BMW for you, and then the
Right.
BMW analogy. I mean, why did you change it from a tie to a BMW? Because I like BMWs. You thought my thought was going to change? No, sir.
No, no,
No,
no,
no,
no,
no,
no,
no, sir.
no.
No,
Well, I just,
no,
you know,
no, no, no,
but
no. So let
uh,
me ask you this, Pastor Sam. Let's reverse it.
uh,
So
okay.
if it were me, right? And there was a young man that
I
was
don't even
buying
know
me
why
gifts.
you're even asking that question. I don't even know
All
why
right,
you
then.
even asking that question. But go ahead. But go ahead. But go ahead. But go ahead.
No, it's all right. So same case in fact, same thing. So do you think it would be okay for a gentleman to be buying me gifts on a regular? One, he's never even talked to you or met you or anything like that, and he's just buying me gifts just out of the blue. So I mean, why would he do that? What will be what's his motive behind it? I mean, why would he be buying me gifts?
I don't know what his motive is, but I sure know what his problem gonna be. And and you know, he might have to wear that car,
Oh God.
but but I'm just saying, no, I don't think I could go for it,
Right.
but that's too much for me. But I think the thing that I'm having right now is, you know, when it comes to relationship, there's a lot of things that come in, right? And some of the things that we never think would ever happen happens. Oh, let's go back to the story with this young lady. So he starts to compare her, and he says that that he starts to look at her, and he says something which really ruffled my feathers. And I'm going to get to everyone's comment right there. I see everyone's chiming away. He says something like this. He says, there is no way that she should have ever thought that she should be worthy enough to get that $1 million man. And his point was, because if she's an average woman, then she should only deserve an average man. We're going to put a pin in that right there. I know everybody's getting ready to sound off. Do you think that, that you should lower your height, your view, your vantage point, that, what, I'm looking for that $1 million man, but I can't find him, but I'm going to keep on looking. I'm looking for that man that owned that mansion, and I can't find him, but I'm gonna keep on looking. Or is it that your standards are too high and you're missing the mark because your standards are too high? I want to hear from you guys. I believe this phone getting ready to go off. I believe this phone is getting ready to go off. This thing is getting ready to go off. Let's see, right? Let's go to where we left off at. Let's see here. Well, Rick says modern day love is more so dependent on finances instead of love. I believe so. You know, if we look at some of the marriages that we see on our social media and so forth, we see that a lot of those things are hinged on money. You know, but Sister Arlene says it depends on the gifts. She said, look, it depends on the gifts. If the gifts are good, you know, we might have to work something out. You know, I don't know. Maybe maybe the wife and the husband got to collude. Maybe we got to work together, right? What's wrong with that? It said the teamwork make the dream work. Come on here. Maybe we got to work together. Mm-hmm. You know, some of us might need to apply the scripture, all things working together. Yeah, I don't know. But
no, sir. Some
let's go on
gifts
here.
have attachments. I don't care. Some gifts have attachments. You know, the enemy. You know, and I put that in the comments. You know, the enemy, he's slick. You know, he'll use whoever make themselves available. You know, and so that person they may not even realize that the enemy is using them. You know, but that's what he does. He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And so that's just a little window right there. Those gifts. That's a window to something that can go open to a big open door. You understand what I'm saying? So no, some gifts come with attachments. So you just said, you know, Sister Arlene had said, what kind of gifts are they?
Depend what kind of gifts are.
Right.
You know, said, so, that's right. I know that's right. I like BMWs. I mean, I like BMWs. Hey man, I've
said,
actually
maybe the husband and the wife need to be in cahoots and work together.
They might have to work together.
That can also be a very huge mistake as well, because then now both of y'all brought into like I said, the enemy is cunning, and his enemy is cunning. Still killing.
That's right.
Could be done bamboozled the husband and then bamboozled the wife. So no, that's right. And the husband as the head of the household, I think he should already know, you know, that's something that shouldn't even come this way. Not in this relationship. You don't, you know.
Absolutely. And, you know, and then it brings me right back to the flyer again, the love that we had, you know, and sometimes there are certain things that come in the midst of the relationship, and its objective is to destroy it, to tear it apart, to show, come on here, to magnify its weaknesses. Every relationship has weak parts, has weaknesses, has areas that need to be strengthened. And what the adversary likes to do is he likes to focus and magnify those weaknesses. Guess what? Not only the weaknesses that I have, but the weaknesses that she have, or the weaknesses that I have for her, or the weaknesses that she has for me, or what have you. And he likes to exploit those areas and use them for his gain. You know, use it for his gain. And sometimes at the onset, we think some of these things can easily be pushed aside and never looked at, you know. And so it's so very important. Let's go to the comments. Well, yeah, Sister Arlene. Yeah, is it only for you or for the family? I don't know. I don't know, but I mean, we could put the family in there too. Let's move on. We could put the family. I mean, there's 2 more doors in the back, but let's go on. Hey, Tracy Kinsley Harrison, bless you. Thank you for being on this evening. Please give a shout out to Big Bro. But all right, Arlene, you came, you pulled it up. You said, I think not. You know, that sometimes we really need to look at some of those gifts and the attachments that come with that. All right, let's go. Let's look at yeah, we got to walk away, Tracy. We got to walk away. Rick says this: I want to take every gift given as appreciation for the great guy I am. My God, today. Now, for those of you who are not regular attendees on the relationship talk, understand that this guy, Rick Sam, that you see, Rick Sam, when it comes to our virtual church, we bring him to the front pew. He says, I'll take every gift that's given as appreciation for the guy. I know he's just joking around, but you know, yeah, we gotta be real mindful of those attachments that come. You know, people that are just all of a sudden in the way. Be mindful of that. You know, Marcia says that $1 million man may not treat you right. It's not all about the money. That's a fact, Marcia. You know, that's a fact. You know, it's not about the money. Sometimes, yeah, you could have that $1 million man, but you don't know the price that you're going to have to pay. There's a heavy price that you may have to pay to live like that. You know, to live like that. And you know, you could look at what's that Kardashian lady that's married to Kanye, Kim Kardashian. You know, yeah, she was married to a very wealthy person. And she got her little money too, but I could just imagine what she had to deal with. You know, just imagine what she had to deal with. And so that is very key. Let's go on to the next one. Arlene says this: in my opinion, her standards are too high. The $1 million man is not necessarily the best man. Not necessarily the best man. Absolutely, I agree. We really have to look at some of these things. You know, what can take our relationship from the love we have to the love we had? You know, what comes to take away from? What comes to dilute our relationships? We got about 2 more minutes and I got to close. But at the end of the day, my question that I have to those of you that are viewing this evening, when it comes to your relationship with Christ, when it comes to your relationship with God, what has taken that relationship from the love you had, from the love you have to the love that you had? What has diluted that relationship? What has taken it to a place where you no longer see eye to eye? How can we work on those things? How can I get my relationship back with Christ the way that it needs to be? And just like with any relationship, it needs His work. It has its weaknesses. It has its vulnerabilities. You know, we know the God that we serve is not weak by any means, but we ourselves, we deal with our own issues. We deal with our own insecurities. And in order to get that relationship where it needs to be, one of the first things that I believe that any believer or anybody needs to do is to admit that I got some issues that I need to work on. And guess what? It's not so much admitting it to me or to her or to them, but admitting it to your God, to your Savior, Jesus Christ, and letting them know, I got some weaknesses. I got some vulnerabilities. I need you to help me with this. I need you to help me with this. And that's the key. And that's how that relationship starts to build. Guess what? The same way it is in the natural, the same way it is in the spirit. You know, you may be with someone and you got certain vulnerabilities, you got certain weaknesses. And guess what? If you really love me, if you really care for me, if you're really my ride or die, you know, if you're really the one then I shouldn't have no problem letting you know I got an issue and I need you to help me with this. Guess what? While I'm dealing with this, can you cover me? Can you cover me? Can you be the one to look over and make sure that I make it out of this? You know, that's where the relationship starts to bond. That's when the relationship starts to grow. That's when the relationship starts to do great things. Because why? I cover you and you cover me. And guess what? We go together. It's time to let you go. You guys go. Listen, so much going on. I do apologize, my people. I know there was some technical difficulties at the onset, but no matter what's going on in your life today, stay in God. Stay in God. You know, hang on in there. You know, I don't care if you're hanging on by a thread. That thread will sustain you until God adds to and God brings you through. Understand that he's a God that cannot fail. And with him, you'll always win. Let me say it again. With Christ, you'll always win. Listen, as we all know, that's right. Sister Arlene says people tend to forget about Christ when things are going good. We have to be grateful for both good and challenging times. Absolutely, Sister Arlene. Listen, it's time to let you guys go. Everyone that is on here, I salute you all. And I thank you all for taking time out of your evening. You know, I wanted to get a little bit more messy, but because of time restraints, I'm unable to do that. Listen, keep an eye out for the flyer. Keep an eye out for the flyer because we're going to start to do this more regularly as we were at one point. But we're going to get back to our relationship talk, just us. You know, we're going to talk about some things. We might need to talk about some grown-up stuff, you know, so put the kids to bed early. All right, put the kids to bed early, you know, praise God. And we're going to talk about some grown-up stuff. Listen, Lady Sam, any final words?
Yes, hang in there, okay? With us with the relationship talk. We thank you. We thank everyone that joined us tonight. Continue to look out for the flyer so you'll see when the next relationship talk is. We're gonna have some gifts and some prizes on the next one. Some gifts and some prizes. So please join us. Please join us on Sundays at 2:15 p.m. If you are able and you're in the town, please come to 1418 Aversboro Road in Garner, North Carolina. We're in Suite 204. Our service time starts at 2:15 p.m. Or you can also join us virtually. And then on Thursday nights, we have our midweek renewal at 7:30. You can join us on virtual on our social media platforms, which is our Facebook page, JSAM Ministries. And then we also broadcast from Pastor Jimmy Sam's page and also from our YouTube channel. So please stay connected. Send us your prayer requests. We are praying people. We love God's people, and we will touch and agree with you. We love you. Thank you so much for your support, and God bless you.
All right, my people, it's time to let you go. It is that time. Hold on. Goodbye, everyone. Enjoy your weekend. Let your weekend continue to be blessed and full of favor. We love you all. God bless. And good night, everyone. Good night, good night, good night, good night, good night. You say you got to get away to find yourself. Now, lady, can't you tell? It's written all over my face. My days and nights will be a little